enclose in brackets. Let's take a look at it. We'll see what it's asking. Okay, so given a string, enclose it in round brackets. All right. What do you think, folks? Can we handle this one? I hope so. So basically the idea is that we want to take a string, we want to keep it intact the way it is, and basically just wrap it in some parentheses. So, I mean, I don't think this is going to be quite as challenging as the last one, but we'll find out, I guess. So the way we used to have to do this thing would be, or this kind of thing, I should say, would be something like this, right? We'd take this thing and we'd say plus input string plus closing round bracket or round parenthesis. Okay, so we'll try running that and boom, there we go. So that's that seems to be solving it. So we'll submit it. Hey, great work. Oh, that feels good. Okay, we'll wait for this guy to fly away and we'll X that because we want to try this again. I mean, that was a great first attempt. I think everyone did an amazing job. We'll paste this in here and we'll try it again. So the sort of newer feature that we could use is this thing called string interpolation. We've used it a few times on stream. Guys, let me know if you have any questions about this, but basically the way it works is we can have like some string in here and then we can put in the value of like a variable, let's say, by doing this money sign and braces like this. You know, so you could do something like an X, right? If you had, I don't know, something else like, let's say const x is assign the value of 5. So now if I were to try to run this thing, then basically I'd get some string and then a 5. And we can do, like, we don't need to do it that way. You know, we could even just put in like, here, 2 plus 7 or something like that. We can put an arbitrary JavaScript into this and it'll produce the result there. So it's kind of cool, you know, like we could technically put in a whole function here, right? Like, I don't know what we'd want to do, but something like maybe a function called f that takes in a number and what is it going to produce? It's going to check if that number is greater than 0, and if it is, it's going to return an array containing f at n minus 1 and n, and otherwise if it is 0, it's going to return this empty array. And we don't just want to have that function in there, we actually want to call this function with, let's say, 5. So we'll run that and we get this, you know, 1 2 3 4 5. So yeah, we can put an array in here, we can put whatever we want in here. In particular, we could put in something like input string. Okay, so for our input string, what do we want to do with it? Well, we want to wrap it in parentheses, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll put the parentheses around it, we'll run that, and ooh, yeah, okay, so that feels good. All right, so we'll submit that. Now we got a little suggestion from the chat over here. I'm noticing our guy Rainbow Sprinkles is saying arrays work too. I think I know where you're going with this one, but if not, let me know, because this might be something different that I have in mind. I was thinking maybe we could do something like return, and then we could have an array containing an open parenthesis and a closed parenthesis, and we would say dot join, you know, because remember dot join, we can put in whatever we want. We could put like the word and it's just going to put the first thing and then the word and then the second thing. And if there was more things in here, you know, like the letter A, for example, then it would join each of these things, like basically in between each of these, instead of the commas, we're going to see whatever we put in here. That's sort of the idea. So we could glue these together using not just the and, but the actual input string. Let's try running that. We'll see what we get. Okay, well, that's obviously not quite what we want because we have this A thing here, which we don't want. So let's do it without that. And there we go. Okay, so basically we can submit this, and that's another way of doing it. But keep in mind, I mean, we've got an array containing just the open bracket, open parenthesis, closed parenthesis. There's probably another way we could do that. So if we wanted, like, let's say I didn't want to have to type all this out. Instead, I could just do something like return this thing dot split on empty character. So basically it's going to split this apart, just like sort of thing, right? And then dot join with our input string. So just a little split and a join, and what we find is it works. Okay, great. So we'll submit that. Rainbow Sprinkles, I was thinking unshift and push. Yeah. Okay, so like with the actual characters of the string, you mean, sort of thing? Like make an array out of the string, and then have like an array that would start with this open parenthesis, yeah, we could do, okay, I think I see where you're going with this. Okay, let me try this again. So let's paste this all in. Let's get a number in front of this one so it doesn't run, and then we'll say something like, yeah, so we want to do return something like an array that comes from the input string, right? And I guess to fully spread that out, I would need this, and we would do, okay, hold on. I probably need to do this on more than one line. So we'll say const array is assigned the value of this thing, and then we would say array dot push the close parenthesis, because that'll go on to the end, the right end of the array, and then array dot unshift. Is that what we need to do? Yeah, because shift would take it off the left end, whereas unshift will put it onto the left end. So these are just like, push and pop, deal with the right end, shift and unshift, deal with the left end. And then basically at this point, we would just return array.join with just an empty character. Yeah, something like that. Is that kind of what you're thinking, Rainbow? I suppose we could do, like, even without the shift and unshift, if we're going to do an array like this where we're putting in, where we're spreading out this new element, we might as well just do it all in one shot, right? Because we know what we want in there. So we could just put this over here, put this over here. And this is part of the beauty of having this spread operator to be able to put in the array. We could do this, return that. And in fact, we don't even really need to do anything more complicated than just this now, because we're not doing the shift and unshift business. So we can just return that big old array, just like that. Okay, cool. So those are a few different ways of doing this. I don't know, that's about 5 different strategies. So what do you think? Is that enough? Should we try to find more, or should we move on from here? I feel kind of like if we tried to do any more strategies, we would just be getting kind of patronizing, because we would basically just be doing like for loops going through the string, like doing just really unnecessary stuff. Doing, how could I put it? Yeah, useless stuff. We don't want to do that. So basically, the idea is that I think this is probably enough different strategies. So did we submit this officially? Is it official? It's official. Okay, great. So let's get out of here. Nice job. We did it.